Friday afternoon saw, in the span of about an hour, the kind of cascading crises that can define a presidency. As he was heading to Delaware for a beach vacation on Friday, about noon, President Biden was hit with a deluge of problems. First, the worsening situation at the southern border. Thousands of migrants jammed under a bridge in squalid conditions. Then, the Pentagon admitted that a drone strike in Afghanistan killed 10 civilians, including 7 children, but no terrorists. Then, a panel advising the FDA voted not to recommend COVID booster shots for all Americans over 16. Remember, Biden promised us those by September. And then France, our oldest ally, recalling its ambassador to the U.S. for the first time in modern history. On NBC's Meet the Press, anchor Chuck Todd summed it all up.
He's got a pretty big credibility crisis on his hands, because all of these problems in some ways showed up after he said something basically the exact opposite. Afghanistan withdrawal wasn't going to be messy. This wasn't going to look like Saigon. The booster shots, he came out and he essentially said 8 months and even indicated maybe we should start it as soon as 5 months. Now we're not sure if anybody under 65 is going to get a booster shot. So, he's had, and of course the border has been, whether this is, we can talk about the border problems. You could say there's years in the making, but it's pretty clear we have a bigger problem now than we've had in years. And these policies have turned into becoming a magnet. So he's got a lot of work to do.
Wow, when you've lost Chuck, you've lost it all. Not only that, but ABC's John Carl saying his credibility on COVID's eroding Miranda. Beyond that, CNN this morning saying that this is administration engulfed in crisis. He's losing a lot of friendly allies in the media.
Well, I think, it's only been 8 months, but already it's so evident that this administration is based not on reality, but on illusion. They think that if they gaslight the American people, if they pretend, if they distract, if they lie, it's all about comms. If they can do that, and they do it well, they think they can get away with not having proper policies, with just being destructive. The unwinding of all the Trump-era policies seems to have been really their only policy directive. And apart from that, they're just being bossed around by Nancy Pelosi. There she is over in London, bad-mouthing Republicans and being divisive. I think people actually elected Joe Biden because they believed he would be a uniting president, because that's what he said. And unfortunately, he has never done what he said he would do, and he's told a lot of untruths.
Yeah, it was a Friday news dump. They did not want us to talk about it on Monday here at noon, but we're going to cover it, even if they don't want us to see it. Particularly, Mike, though, the story that was so galling to me on Friday was this, quote, righteous strike that they told us about. Let's play a soundbite of what the administration was saying about this righteous strike that ended up killing 7 children who were running to their uncle's car to get water bottles, and their family members found these children burned. But here is what they told us about the strike after it happened.
Well, first I would say the fact that we have had 2 successful strikes confirmed by CENTCOM tells you that our over-the-horizon capacity works and is working.
Oh, we know that ISIS-K has worked very, very hard to strike us and to continue to strike us. We feel that the strike we took yesterday in Kabul actually was very disruptive to their attack plans and threw them off stride.
Oh, were there others killed? Yes, there are others killed. Who they are, we don't know. We'll try to sort through all that. But at this point, we think that the procedures were correctly followed, and it was a righteous strike.
Mike, even Obama's former Joint Chiefs of Staff calling for accountability here.
You give people a choice between believing what you tell them and believing what you show them. They're going to believe what you show them. That's been the theme of this whole show so far, whether it's the images at the border or the images in Afghanistan, those early images of the plane taking off and people falling while we're being told it's actually a fairly orderly, but it's that cognitive dissonance that the country's constantly being asked to square, and it's making us nuts. On the other end of it, I would say, look, this all feels new. This all feels new and incredible, but I was reading a book not long ago about the Harold Macmillan. He was a prime minister in England back in the 50s. He came to power after the Suez crisis. And somebody asked him, Mr. Macmillan, they said, what What will determine the course of your administration? And his answer was awesome. He said, events, dear boy, events. And that's it, right? You can have all the plan in the world. You can have whatever agenda you have. And then you see a picture of a guy falling off an airplane. You see a couple, you see 100,000 people under a bridge. You see this, you see that, you see masks, you see no masks. You see mixed messages, you see confusion. Then you have events, dear boy.
Yeah.
And the fallout, well, stay tuned, right? We'll see.
Yeah, one such event that happened yesterday hasn't gotten a lot of coverage. There's been a lot of news, Harris, but there was the, quote, moderate Taliban. I don't think that exists, but the one that
the business-like one?
Yeah, that Biden was talking with. Yeah, there was a physical assault by the more brutal one, the one who's a U.S. designated terrorist, Haqqani, who beat the man, and then the moderate Taliban, who Biden was relying on, fled the country. All of this while Biden's riding his bicycle on his beachside vacation. He just got back, by the way, about 30 minutes ago to the White House.
So it is interesting, and we don't have any indication that he'll talk to the media before his secretary, who's landing in Del Rio, Texas, right about now, Mayorkas, gets a chance to talk to America. I don't think the president's going to go before that. Who knows what Mayorkas will hear from those reporters? We can hold out hope they'll ask questions. So, you know, what's really interesting to me, and I want to go back to something that Mike said, it is really an overarching thing now that we're looking at. It's hard to unsee the reality that plays out, right? So if your reality on the ground is that the Taliban are beating you, and we still have cameras in there, and you know, we had a crew on the ground for a while, even after everybody left. I mean, we have people, Trey Yinks and others, who do a demanding and important job, and keeping them safe is foremost. And at the same time, we need to see what's really going on with the Taliban. And you can't argue about the reality on the ground there and what this White House wants us to believe. They are in conflict with one another. One is true and one is not. Two things cannot be true at the same time when they're this opposite. So we're not asking you to believe that corn blue and purple might be close together on the color hue. We're asking you to believe that they're killing folk like they always did, being the Taliban, and know there are our partners now. Our new foreign policy, according to Jen Psaki a week ago, Kayleigh, was, well, we do deal with terrorists if it's in our best interest. And you and I looked at each other when she said that on campus and said, wait, is that a new, on camera rather, is that a new policy? We're asked to believe in what is a lie over the truth. And I agree with you, Mike Rowe. I don't think people are going to do that.
They don't. And the great uniter in chief, you brought the receipts, Emily. They're not believing what they're being told.
Right. And I think that the cartilage around the events, dear boy, would be leadership. And that's what we're seeing a dearth of. And the polls reflect that. So, for example, despite using the word unity 8 times in his inaugural speech, at this moment, Americans by a margin of 54-37 think we are less unified under President Biden than we were before. They also approve his job rating at a 50%, his lowest marks since taking this office. And I think that the most outstanding part about that is the most common answers for this, right? So incompetence, poor leadership is number one, a blanket doing a bad job, Afghanistan, the economy, vaccine mandate, illegal immigration, and the border crisis. These are issues that Mike enunciated there, and that these are exactly the reasons why Americans have lost faith, why they do not see a leader. And final point, 51% think he cares about people like you. That has plummeted, and especially represents a 15% decrease of independence. People see through the sham. They were told something in his inaugural speech, and now there's a dearth of leadership in combination with those events and his absolute missing in inaction.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.